What's happening? What's happening?
Yo. Another Sunday night.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect Podcast.
Indeed.
Hey, go ahead and tag somebody. Share this video. You know what to do.
Tune in. Say hello. Say what's up.
Say what's up. Cuss. Do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, that's Sunday night service. Y'all know we Baptist, so ain't a good Baptist
There's no
service
rules anymore
until we cuss.
There's no rules anymore. Man, listen, my buddy, before you tell us who we're sponsored by, my buddy Chris Woody put up what's the best communion juice, like Welch's, Great Value, something else. I said, listen, I'm Baptist. This is that Manischewitz.
Wild Irish Rose.
When I came into the church, we was all slain in the spirit. I had to get to that Welch's quick.
Yes, sir, Doc. I was there a couple of those days.
Yeah, you was there.
Lord,
you was there. It was special, man.
I got a contact high.
Well, y'all, we are back for another edition of Religiously Incorrect, and we are
brought to you by the African American Community Fund. The African American Community Fund, established in 2020 at the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio, supports Black-led and Black-serving organizations throughout the 32 counties of Appalachian Ohio to elevate the quality of life and address. I can't see.
Man, go ahead and get them glasses, Jeff.
I usually have it on my phone.
Go ahead and get them glasses.
You should have it memorized by now.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Just like the Baptist covenant, man. You're supposed to know it. As we have been led, as we believe. Right.
After we leave this place.
www.AppalachianOhio.org.
I can't believe I can't see that well, man. No, we're going to finish the quality of life and address disparities in African American communities. www.AppalachianOhio.org/AACF. Now, I can still see.
This is the boy they wouldn't let read in school. They would skip over him when they would read around the room.
That's right. God, man, I can't believe I really do need some glasses.
You do, man.
Did you see that?
Listen, you got to go on.
Slightly.
Hey, listen. I can see it just fine because I have been wearing glasses since I was like 7 years old. So if it was the old school, like the 80s, I had them bottle cap joints.
Right,
man.
Right.
Coca-Cola. He's not moving it closer to the table.
I moved it closer for you,
hilarious.
I usually use my phone. Remember that? I was like, I'm going to use my phone. I can see that, man. Listen. But anyway, go ahead.
We were going to talk about something else, but I feel like I need to just bring this up.
Bring it up, Doc.
Our girl and our friend Madonna.
Oh, wow.
Hey, let's introduce our guest.
Can we introduce our guest?
Let's introduce our guest first.
This is a black dude here.
That I am.
Listen, we are proud to have one of Youngstown's finest. It's about time we got some more Youngstown folk up here.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? My boy, Youngstown, my friend,
it suddenly feels violent here.
Pastor Burney, who is the executive director of Serve, an initiative to stop youth violence in Youngstown. We are just excited to have him. I know he's gonna bring a lot of perspective to the table. So we're just happy to have my boy. Y'all give it up for my boy, Pastor Burney.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Man, we're glad to have you on.
These are my guys, man. Pastor Jeff and I played football back junior high. And we go back far, man.
Let him know.
Listen, Pastor Jeff has skills.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
They don't want to believe me.
Don't worry about it.
Don't want to believe me, but they gonna find
people from Youngstown don't understand, my brother. They don't know. They don't understand you were a legend, my man.
A legend in my own mind, but
in your own mind.
And the reality of 1990 and about 1990, 89.
Yes.
Oh, I was out there.
The problem is we beat him every time, but he was amazing.
He still had his yards. He
was amazing. But
hey, well, I give him props, man. We had our day.
But no, it's so good to see both of you.
No, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. We're going to be talking some very important subject matter with Pastor Guy as well. But I want to touch on this little incident that happened this week. It's local. But it still speaks to our national.
But it's national though. It's national. It went national.
Has it gone national?
Yeah, it's went national. Yeah.
For those that didn't hear, one of our local newscasters put on what was considered an insensitive post on their Facebook page, and they work for a local radio station. We don't care. WFMJ. Okay, TV 21 WFMJ, and Madonna, who I've been on her show many times.
Several times.
You know, sweet sister. But it's been like it's been a tornado, man.
It was a thunderstorm.
I was watching it in real time, and I've been watching it in real time for several days now. And it was directed at the LGBTQ community, and I'm not familiar with the full spectrum of the, no pun intended, but the full spectrum of all of the different inclusions, that are involved now. But it was basically along the lines of, where's your straight pride month kind of a thing. Kind of the same thing we hear about Black History Month.
Right.
Like, when are we going to have White History Month? And it was said that the meme was literally based off of that, and they had just changed up the words basically to be Straight Month instead of White History Month. So it was literally the same exact concept. It was It was taken from
I did
that.
not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I discovered that the hard way, doing a little research and reading the comments. But obviously, it did not go well. It went terribly. And we're in the middle of Pride Month, and it's a tough time because there's such a balance that has to be struck, not just religiously, but just socially, period.
Absolutely.
Just in your social manner. And man, the comments were wild. I mean, people were jumping right on it. The typical, tag the employer. Now, here is where the rub comes. The pages that were used, there are several pages at work. She has a personal page.
Right.
This page appears to be like a personality page.
Oh, her personality.
And I don't even think people caught up on it, but me being the Facebooker that I am, I can kind of tell this is like the personality for the show page. And the show actually has its own page.
Okay.
So this is almost like a bio page for her, so to speak, but she still uses it as her personal page. And that's what the problem was, because the WFMJ logo is the profile on there. It's at like 500, 600 some comments on her page. They finally addressed it on their Facebook page.
I saw that.
And it's like over 2,000,
I don't think there's been no decisive action taken yet.
Not announced.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just want to get your take on the whole, because you watched some of it. And let's just be clear for those that don't know the story. It was discovered that there were some other problematic posts posted as well. One spoke to, I think it was on Eclipse Day. Yeah. And she posted, I have a dream that the eclipse will turn everybody back to their natural sexuality.
Natural normal or something like that.
Yeah, their natural normal sexuality. And it's cringy. You know what I mean? Just at any level, it's if nothing else, it's a little cringy considering how we are taught to engage these days and how we have to. But what's your take on it, Pastor Jeff?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I love Madonna. I really do. She has been nothing but good and kind to me. I've been on her show several times, and I believe that everybody has a right to their own opinions. Okay. But when you put it on your, obviously you with action, there are certain things I cannot and will not say, not because I don't believe it or how I feel about it, but because I am part of an organization, that deems that we can't do that. Right. So I think that we have to use a little bit of, I don't want to say she's not, but just common sense almost. Well, discretion. And I mean, especially since it is that month. And I watched where they're flying the flag in Presque Isle now, and they didn't want to fly the flag. They went down there and they went to the council meetings, and and it's like, this is our month, y'all gonna fly this flag, and they put that flag up.
Now, I got a problem with that, to be honest.
But here's the thing: they still have a problem even with them flying, because they wanted it downtown, and it's like,
so I have a problem with that. And the problem with that is that there are a lot of acknowledging months out there that cover a lot of heritages, and I think that's a little over the top as it concerns how everyone is acknowledged. At this point, you start a trend with that. How many flags are we flying because we got the Juneteenth flag, we got the Black History flag, Italian Heritage flag. That can get over the top. So I wouldn't. But I agree with you. There has to be some discretion, even if it's not on their corporate page or affiliated page, once you are associated with certain
Absolutely.
organizations, there are, and we could talk free speech and all that, but you have to know that there is some restriction and guidelines and boundaries. And some people choose not to take certain jobs because of that.
Absolutely.
Because if I want to be free to say what I want to say, I can't say it in this occupation.
Right.
I got my first phone call, I'll never forget, not long after the Matthew Burrows incident and shooting where he died here in Niles. And I was my typical fist pumping self, and really going hard at how I felt about the situation. And I made some comments, and a lawyer friend of mine and colleague on the board was like, you should probably take that down. And he said, you are a public figure. Everybody knows your name. You carry influence. I wasn't like a council person yet. I was on a couple boards of significance. And he's like, because of your current influence, those individuals who you are speaking about could file against you because your words carry more weight than the average person ranting and raving in the comments section. You are a reverend. He was joking. He's like, you are the Reverend Todd Johnson. You are the guy that's on this board and that board and that board. And people are listening to you. That's why the news will call you when you say something. And, that's a different dynamic. And I had to live with that reality. And even if I kept my beliefs, I had to shift how I express them publicly. First of all, for the sake of liability. Not because my convictions changed, but there's a way to express them and not be reckless.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful, which we found out with our president, not to incite other people through your language.
Yes.
And there have been times we've all been like, man, we understand, go on ahead and loot. You know what I mean? And anybody listen to us and warn if something's happening in New York. But at the same time, we're adding to a culture. And my issue is the tone and the approach of sharing your opinion. It's not even some sort of honest, sincere, gracious way of sharing. It's snarky, it's smart alecky, it's reducing people regardless of whether you approve of a lifestyle or your religious convictions or whatever, but it's reducing them to less than and making them cartoonish. And Lord knows as black people, we know exactly what that feels like. And that was a mark of the church for a long time, that we could not talk about certain subjects and lifestyles and orientations without being basically jokey about it and turning it into a big clown show. So that's my issue.
I want to hear. I want to hear what Guy has to say. I would just say one of the things that I disapproved of was the insincere apology. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
to the one viewer.
If you're gonna apologize. But if
I think I don't think it was intended to be insulting, but I think that once people you were insulted, probably should have went ahead and just deleted that or reworded it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that happened. So, Guy, what do you think, Pastor?
Well, I have so many thoughts. I agree. So there is responsibility with position, and so with that position. There are certain things that I have to take ownership of, and my words being the biggest part. Mm-hmm. I think your conviction can be your conviction, and I'm okay with that. But in the Word of God, it tells us that when I have an issue with my brother, I need to pull them aside privately,
right,
and have that conversation. So if I'm really trying to help somebody, I have a conviction about something,
right,
and I want them to change something in their lives, it's not a post that does it.
Correct.
It's me building relationship.
That's
right.
And bringing them in and saying, hey, my brother, this is what I believe, and I love you so much, I'm going to tell you.
Right.
That is where change happens. Making a blanket statement about a large issue that has so many layers and will not change anyone. In fact, it incites and it takes us further and further apart.
Makes it worse.
So I just believe, if you care, again, your conviction is your conviction. I have many.
Right.
But I believe with my convictions, if I love someone, I'm going to go to them.
What to me was really, and I know we need to get off of this, but the one person, I don't even know who it was, said that they don't want her fired, but they want to come on the show and actually talk and try to build relations. It's just what you were saying. And I just felt like, that's maybe what she should, you know what I mean? But, you know, it was reversed. And, you know, I thought it was good. And I think that may be a way to, you know, save this whole situation. If
it can be saved,
21 will allow that.
Right. And I was going to ask, you know, do you think it's fair, or do you think that termination is too much or too far?
I think when you see the reaction, and I think there's something that's going to have to be done. I don't think you can salvage this with just saying, oh, well.
If it was the only one,
yeah,
I could see. But, you know, people go digging when they see one thing.
Yeah, when they found the personal page.
There was a lot of stuff found, you know, at least 4 or 5 different things along the same lines found. And the second question I was going to ask, and this speaks a little bit to Guy's point, but Christians have always, and I hate to say it because this was not presented as a Christian conviction. So let's just be clear with that.
Right.
This was presented more as a cultural joke or meme. Well, it was not really a Christian conviction. It wasn't saying, I believe that the word of God speaks against this or that. But we also know that even if you had posted that, which would be the same as preaching it or sharing it in any public forum, like you'd still share general. I understand what you're saying about generalizations, but we still share general convictions. Is it basically impossible to do so as it considers, as it concerns LGBTQ things without basically being canceled? I mean, if they pick up any of our clips of sermons or, you know, or just things that we post,
got quite a few,
just like we would post up our convictions about anything else, you know, violence in our communities, which we'll talk about, behaviors that we believe are destructive to our families. And everybody would say, amen, that's right. You fathers need to take care of your children. Right. Okay, you know, because we consider that a problem, you know, against our convictions. Is this type of subject matter simply impossible at this point to address without blowback? And should we just be prepared for it? And I'm talking from a Christian side now.
So the problem is there's an imbalance of power. So what we are facing is with cancel culture. If you believe anything that goes against what the mainstream is doing, you will get blowback and cancel.
Yeah.
But I will say, now I'm talking as a Christian and a person who loves and follows Jesus Christ, you should expect that.
Yes.
Because if Jesus Christ, his message was easy, then everything would be okay.
Right.
Everyone who we hold in high esteem was hated at the time they were speaking.
Correct.
Absolutely.
That is correct.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I mean, so
all the folks we venerate.
We love them and honor
Dr. King.
And but if we step back in time,
yes,
they were the most hated individuals of the time. Why? Because of what they spoke.
Right.
Now, y'all get me started.
Let's go. This is why we brought you.
Religiously incorrect, baby.
Jesus said, I am the truth, the way and the light. And so there's this concept of people living their own truth.
Right. Yes.
Well, my understanding is that there's only one truth. People can live their reality. But there's only one truth. And based on the word of God, his name is Jesus.
Right.
Come on, sir.
So that's truth.
Right.
If I say I'm in truth, I have to align with Jesus Christ.
Right.
I can have my reality because anybody can have their certain reality, but reality doesn't mean my reality, what I go through doesn't mean what I'm living is truth. Because the only truth
is Jesus.
Right.
Is Christ Jesus. And so we have as men and women of God, we have standards and then we have love. Right. And so there's a balance here.
Right.
And so again, and I love Madonna. Don't get me. That's my buddy. But what happens is Jesus was very interesting. Whenever he wanted to tell somebody something about their lives, he would first meet their needs.
Yes.
And then he would follow that up by saying, hey, I want you to go and not do that anymore.
Right.
But he wouldn't lead with that.
Right.
He would look at their needs and he fed 5,000. Or he'd look at their needs and he healed them.
Yes.
Or he raised them and then he would say, hey, listen, you know who I am now?
Right.
Don't go and do that anymore.
Right.
What we always lead with is what's wrong.
What's wrong with you? That's it.
But we don't lead with, what do you need?
Meeting the needs.
What can I do for you?
Right.
Right. And so I think that if we follow how the person we say we serve minister, we'd be a lot better.
We'd be a lot better. Yeah. I agree.
We got to, but real quick.
Go ahead.
I gotta say that how many comments you say it was?
Oh man, you're over 600 now on her page. Almost 2,000 on the WF.
Over 600
page.
comments.
Right.
And I've only saw MAGA people support.
That is true.
I've only saw MAGA. And so my question becomes, as a pastor, if she was your member, would you?
I would have hacked her Facebook a long time ago and deleted all them posts if she was my member. I would have hacked that Facebook a long time ago. I would have hacked it.
And I'm just saying, because I mean, as much as she's done for so many people in the community, I didn't see any. And I know it's hard because nobody wants to.
But is it because it was indefensible? And as much as we love her, we know her demeanor, and she can be pretty stubborn. And if you get into that, and we don't know who might have already tried to say something.
Could be.
You know, sometimes we assume that nobody did. Sometimes somebody might have. And tried to, because you don't want to get into the middle of that hornet's nest if the person who is primarily involved is not necessarily willing, or giving you the indication that they might follow your lead if you try to step in. You ever try to break up a fight? Person you trying to help want to keep fighting, and now you going to jail. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you got it can be, and I do think there's some fear. Then the
maybe she should have had what's his name as a pastor. I know he'd have said something. What's the dude? The dude on TV.
Don't. Which guy?
What's his name? The guy who he always have somebody read for him.
Oh, Gino Jennings?
Gino would have been like, yes, you're right.
Yes, she's right.
No, you're right.
You're going to hell. Man,
read.
Man, that is funny. That I like.
Hilarious.
Gino's between him and Bishop Patrick Wooden, man. They're doing it, man. They are owning it. They're owning it.
What you say?
Well, Pastor Guy Burney already gave us a sermon. You must have told him this show was called Religiously Correct. It's actually called Religiously Incorrect. So pretty much everything we're going to say after this is going to be pretty inappropriate. But we're going to go into our next phase. And for those of you who have been with us for a while, if you're new, we're going into Meme of the Week. So hit it. I got a good one for you.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
These are all jokes. We are just playing.
All right, so I can personally vouch for this particular meme because I actually spent about 4 or 5 years at a white school.
Okay.
And I kept inviting my white friends to my church. And I didn't understand how different cultures were at the time. I was just really proud of my little church at the time. And when I saw this, man, it just cracked me up because it made me think of a specific individual who came to our church. It just turned into a whole new person after he had been around too many black church people. So check out this meme. You might have to do it twice.
Mom, put those dishes down. I'm doing them. You're doing the dishes? Yep. I mean, yes, ma'am. Father, I pray, order thy steps in your word.
Now that is, I have been in a black household.
Now, because I don't think it was explained there. The meme says after spending the night
At
over
a
your
black parent's house.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that means you've been in a black person's house and probably had to go to church with them in the morning if you stayed over.
That's right.
Because that's the only way. But first of all, we just sing the stuff in our house. I mean, first of all, you know, didn't James Cleveland albums used to be on? But then if you get to church, you get a double dose.
Yes.
Have you ever had people from other cultures visit your house or your church and just, you know?
I don't, not me.
I had one ask my son just a couple years ago, what's fabuloso? What's fabuloso? He's like, what's fabuloso? It's what mom burns in the pot to clean the house.
That's what mom put.
Don't you know?
That's what mom uses after we make fish.
Exactly. Everywhere. No, but I mean, I love that because it was so accurate. You know what I mean? Like, because first of all, you could tell. Play it one more time because I want to break it down. Play it one more time.
Mom, put those dishes down. I'm doing them. You're doing the dishes? Yep. I mean, yes, ma'am. Father, I pray, order thy steps in your word.
That is dedicated to New Bethel Baptist Church and Pastor Kenneth Simon.
That's
But
hilarious.
obviously, he's been exposed to three distinct things, obviously. Number one, that if you stay over this house, you're going to do something in this house.
Absolutely.
Number one, everybody got to put their hands to work. Number two, it's yes, ma'am.
It's yes, ma'am. It's not yes. It's not
Ain't no yeah.
It ain't what.
Listen, it's yes, ma'am.
It's yes, ma'am.
And thirdly, you're going to listen to this gospel music.
That's right.
Yes,
It was either going to be that or the Commodores.
You're going to get this work.
Right. It's either going to be that or Al Green. I mean, it's going to be one or the other, either James Cleveland or James Brown. I mean, you just take your pick, but he's going to get it. So if you have a meme for Meme of the Week, be sure to send it to us via email at religiouslyincorrectpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send it to our inbox. Now, we know that everybody's starting to see the same memes all the time, and you might not know that we've already played one. So please don't be offended if you send us something and we realize we already had that one in episode 3, season 2. You know, maybe we'll do some repeats, some classic memes one of these days. Big Mike?
Don't send the corny ones.
Don't send the corny ones. Don't send it. We've heard all the bad singers. Okay, let's get through a few of them real quick before we move on. We've heard all the bad singers off key. All right.
Oh my God.
We've seen the teeth fall out several times. Right.
We've seen the pastors do the crazy things and
pastors fly through the air.
Yeah. We've
seen the
all
skirts
that.
fall down in the middle of a song.
Teeth fall out.
We've seen all that. We've seen all that. We need some. You know what, church folk. Go make some new memes. Go do something.
Go to church next Sunday.
Go do something worse.
There is a meme-worthy thing that's going to happen at your church next Sunday.
There's got to be something out there. But Religiously Incorrect is brought to you by the Phillips family of businesses, beginning with Phillips Care Lawn Services. We are well into the summer, and some of y'all still ain't cut y'all grass. You're trifling, and you need to call Fernando at 330-219-7916. They do it all. If it has to do with your yard or your property, they can take care of it. You want to make sure that you get your lawn taken care of. And while you're at it, Phillips Care Cleaning Service, residential and commercial cleaning, move in, move out, floors, carpet, upholstery, wood floor. They can do all of it. They even do renovation and repair work. They've done a great job for me. Got to give them a big shout out. They've taken care of gutters and soffit work and minor repair in my basement. Done a phenomenal job for me and for many, many others. Check them out. Phillips Care Cleaning Service, 330-219-7916, or check them out on Facebook at Phillips Care LLC.
We're also brought to you by
Can you read this?
Yes, the Alliance for
that
one I know. The Alliance for Congregational Transformation Influence in our neighborhoods. Listen, we were so proud to be up here at TCAA Heritage Festival. Our mobile market was up here. Matter of fact, my wife came home with some ribs and pineapple and cucumbers and I don't know what she brought there because I don't do ribs. I don't even like making ribs.
Like ribs?
I know I love making them. I'm in love eating them.
You don't
I don't like making them. I don't like pulling off that skin and all that stuff.
Okay.
But I guess I will. Amen. And not only that, but our next clergy breakfast will be here in Warren, Ohio at the Elam Christian Center with our girl, Pastor Arthenia Simmons. We'll give you more information on that to come.
You are right, Pastor Kid. We need the new logo. We have been using the old graphic. So we want to be brand consistent.
Absolutely.
Thanks for pointing that out. Well, we introduced our guest already, Pastor William Guy Burney. Now, it doesn't feel like pastor because you have been in the ministry for some time, but you're known so well with your work in the community.
Yes.
Somebody might actually be surprised to know that you're a pastor.
Not only a pastor, but a PK kid.
Yeah, I'm a
And a
PK.
PK.
I'm all
man.
above,
Welcome to the club, man.
It's
That's
good.
what I'm talking about.
I was in church so much. I asked God, man, did you really want to see me today?
Right.
You've seen me last 5 days, but
Right.
no, man, I can't complain. I'm blessed. My wife is a PK as well.
That is right.
Yeah,
that is
and both
right.
of our fathers serve at the same ministry, so we're blessed, man. It's amazing, right?
That is amazing. That's different.
They serve at the same ministry.
Yeah. So my Pastor Hale, which is an amazing pastor. He's in his 80s now.
Okay, because he was on Idlewood.
He was on Idlewood.
Yes.
And so he retired, but then he came, and my father, Bishop Burney, asked him to join us, and he came over, man.
Wow.
So I got
you got
double
your father-in-law
blessing, man.
and your father.
It's amazing, man.
Boy, you can't mess up at all, can you?
I know, man. When I'm
by both brothers.
So when I'm preaching, man, it's like it's deep, brother. You can't be off anywhere. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay.
We've known each other for some years, but I don't know exactly your full story.
Yes.
Like how your career kind of collided with ministry and what you've done in the past and how you got to this place doing serve. And when you get to the end, talk about what serve is.
All right, so wow. So again, grew up in Youngstown, PK. Went to college here. I actually got into ministry very early, man.
Okay.
I was, again, I grew up in the church, so it wasn't anything there that I couldn't do.
Right.
I'll open it. I ran drama ministry. I ran the youth ministry. I'm a musician. I have some cousins who are very famous right out of our church. My cousin Derek Dixie, many of you know him.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually he was the MD for Beyonce.
Right.
My cousin Art played piano for Wayman Tisdale.
Right.
I mean, that was our church and so I grew up in it. After that point, though, I got called into the ministry when I was very young. I never forget, a guy called me off the drums and he said, "Listen, man," it was at a kind of like one of those prophetic services, and I don't go that deep, I'll tell you. And so when I look at them,
I get it.
But he called me out and he said, "Come here, man." He said, "God is calling you to do something great. I'm not going to say what it is. I just want to pray for you." This is as a young man. I was playing the drums. I'll never forget. And so after that, man, I just felt God's calling in my life. Went through ministry, went through classes. I don't know if you know the late Dr. John Cherry. He's out of Baltimore.
Okay.
Maryland. One of the first mega churches in AME. I was ordained under him.
Wow.
And so that's where I went through class. I spent years under his tutelage.
Wow.
And then after that point, came back to church. Bishop Michael Thomas, who was in Greensboro, North Carolina, then ordained me to be an elder. Love and Faith Ministries there. And so that's where our church is under. Okay. And then it kind of progressed, man. My father became a bishop and God just called me to do more and more. It's just more responsibility. So as you get more responsibility, it's just more service.
Right.
It's not more position or more power. It's just more work.
Right.
And so we know that. And I embraced it because I recognize that we're living in these days. So I've been doing that up until now. But before that, I was a teacher and a trainer. I trained schools and colleges all over the place. And I was part of the governor's initiative to increase the graduation rate for African-American males.
Okay.
And then the governor lost. And I came.
You know what happened?
Yeah, and that happened, right? So I came kind of back home and I started to work in group homes and therapy. And one day I was sitting there, and I guess I'll give you this because this is pretty fascinating. I had come back home from being in this big position, traveling all around the state, helping schools, helping people, and it was taken away from me. And I said, "God, man, I got to take care of my family." And so I walked into a group home, Pastor Jeff, and I said, "Man, I got to work." And I had all this information, all this education, all this knowledge. And I'm like, "God, I got to work though."
Wow.
And so I humbled myself, man.
Okay.
And I walked into this group home and they were like, at the time, they were like, "Man, we're going to pay you. You're great, but we're going to pay you $10. And I'm like, bruh, you know, you can't even talk to me on the phone for $10.
Right.
But God made me humble myself, and the reason he made me humble myself is because he took me to Joseph. And he said Joseph was amazing because whatever he found himself in, he did his best. So no matter where he found himself, he worked unto God.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna give him all I got.
Right.
Even though I didn't want to, even though I feel like they weren't worthy of all the information. I'm sitting in I'm sitting in a room. In 3 months, I went from just a worker to the program director.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, all right, God, I see what you're doing. But I didn't. I'm sitting at a table. We had a meeting with the city. In walks a young man named Demain Kitchen. Demain walks in. He looks at me. I say, oh, this might have been my buddy. I hadn't seen him in a while. He said, God, meet me for lunch. I said, okay, bro, I'm cool. We met at Bellaria, man. He says, we're hiring for this position, and I'm so sorry I didn't think about you. It's right at the end. I don't even know, but would you please apply? I said, of course, man. I didn't know what I was getting into. Man, 3 months later, Serve was birthed.
Wow.
So the lesson in that is this. I know this is religiously incorrect, but I'm telling
Go on ahead
you.
and
Listen to
preach,
what I'm
bro.
telling you.
We're giving up.
Joseph didn't realize that when he was in a pit, he was in the right place.
Right. Right.
He was looking up out of a pit.
Right.
But do you think he was like, thank you, God, I'm right where I'm supposed to be?
Right.
But guess what?
He was.
He was.
Right where he's supposed to be.
Right.
And so no matter the situation, don't look at the situation, look at God.
Right.
And so me going in and doing my best, even though I didn't feel like they were worthy or I was getting worth what I was doing. So I tell everybody, I preach to 3 people like I preach to 3,000.
Wow.
Right? Because you never know
Absolutely.
what God has for you.
Not Jeff. He saves his best sermons for the 3,000. He preaches Jack and Jill went up the hill to the.
Listen,
So no, it's good.
I've had some 3 people churches.
Everybody has.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has. So
Absolutely.
anyway,
So what is
You got to serve.
So I got to serve, man, and I got in there and they gave me a desk and a phone and said, "Go stop violence."
Listen.
That's how it worked. Seriously, they gave me. I didn't even have a budget. I'm being. They gave me a desk and a phone. And it was like, all right, go at it.
Stop violence.
And then I'm sitting there like, are you?
He turned to Batman in the
Right.
I mean, I'm sitting in this
Here's
desk
a
and I'm
cape.
like,
Here's a cape,
God. And so the first thing I did was call my brothers and sisters who I had been working with through church. And this is the first assignment we did. I'm not joking. I went to the south side of Youngstown. It was hot at the time. 2012 was hot. I called the previous superintendent. I said, yo, I need your school. I don't got no money, but I need your school open on Saturdays. He said, bet, whatever I can do. I got like 5 organizations. Heart Reach Ministries was one. I don't know if y'all remember Pastor Al Yano.
Yes, absolutely.
So I got people like that. We went and started knocking on doors on the south side. And I said, yo, we playing basketball down at Taft, the school, on Saturday. I need you to come down. Now, it just wasn't basketball. We brought them in there. I had mentors.
Right.
We fed them. The first week, probably about 30 kids we got. It was dope. By the last week in that summer, Taft and Wilson was both open, and 300 kids was fall on me from Taft to Wilson, spending all Saturday with me.
Wow.
And that's when I knew something is happening. And so I tell people, and you don't have to wait to be acknowledged to help.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Go do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to be formal or big. So we just knocked on the door. And so, man, the Serve was birthed. Again, man, we have fidelity. So there's some processes we had. We started working with gang members.
Okay.
We start getting information. We started to hone in on who was causing the most problems.
Right. Right.
But what we know is that the majority of the people weren't causing all the problems. They just needed help.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we started prevention, we started intervention, and then we started intensive intervention.
Okay.
And now we have Serve. So Serve is just so multifaceted.
What does it stand for? Serve is a
Community
acronym.
Initiative to Reduce Violence.
It's community.
So it's not an
initiative to
acronym.
reduce- It is.
Yeah, it is an acronym.
Okay.
CIRV.
Oh, C. Okay.
The Serve is the
Community
service.
Initiative
Yeah.
to Reduce Violence.
So let me
CIRV.
ask you, because we know that many of our young men, particularly the African American community, we have now this terminology called the ops,
Yeah,
whatever. And so you being in this position, has there been any, throwback from the community at you? None?
No. So, because my job is to help them.
Okay.
I don't. So this is what I tell people. Know what they're doing. Like, it's no joke. Like, the community knows more about what's happening
absolutely
than anybody else.
Right.
My job is, I know that majority of the folks are just trying to make it. Now, they're doing it in a way that's harming us.
Right.
And so my job is to reach out and give you a path so you can change it. Now, if you don't decide to change it, then bless you. There's people for that too.
Right. There's a ministry for that.
I mean, it's a ministry. And check this out.
Right.
We go into prisons. So I'm going to catch you either way.
I'm going to see you. You're going to hear me one way or another.
Like, we good. We're good. But at the same time,
you're going to get this word.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully we can catch you before.
Right.
Preventative maintenance.
Most people are just trying to eat.
Right.
I'm just being honest with you. Now, because of our culture, the availability of guns, the music we listen to, feed our minds. And so when I'm listening to music and popping pills, I don't have a chance if I got a gun in my pocket.
Right.
So we have these layered issues that just build on violence. But I'm gonna be a pastor again. In Matthew, Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers."
Right.
He didn't say, "Blessed are the peacekeepers." We got these people trying to keep peace. Man, you can't keep peace. You got to make it.
Wow.
That's major.
Wow.
I'm just trying to keep the peace.
Like
that's not what Jesus said. He said, "Blessed are the people who make peace."
So you have to intentionally
engage and make peace.
Right.
And so that's what we determine to do.
So I want to jump into the idea of intervention in the community and making impact in the community.
Gotcha.
And what works and what doesn't work, and some of the misconceptions, especially as pastors, that we have about what works and what doesn't work. And we're just telling you this. The show is called Religiously Incorrect. You could tune out now because we might end up talking about something that you do that doesn't work and you're just very committed to. Because I know what it's like to be the cotton candy preacher.
Yeah.
And when I say cotton candy, it doesn't mean my sermons are weak, but it means that if you do these cool things for kids, if you put on the festivals and fairs, then the community will get better. Now, I believe every community deserves a quality of life, and sometimes you bring fun and enjoyment and lightheartedness to spaces that feel hard and brittle, and there's nothing but meanness, and sometimes that can be help to change just the overall atmosphere that, hey, good things can come to the hood. We can have some fun times. But the idea that that's actually the transformative element, can we dive into that a little bit? Because
so there's things that the community believes stop violence, and there's things that really stop violence.
Okay.
All right, so y'all pushing the brother tonight.
Go ahead.
There's 5 basic needs in the community that's proven to decrease violence.
Okay.
Decrease conflict in general.
Okay.
I'll give them to you. The first one is safety. If your community is not safe, you're going to have conflict and violence. Now, it's just not physical safety. This is important. If I don't believe I'm safe, you're going to have conflict. So it's
can we stop right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we live in a world, and safety falls into this as well, where our perception of things can be so skewed from the reality. So violence could have gone down, I'm just saying statistically, but if we're being fed the idea.
Right. It's going to perpetuate it because we believe we're not safe.
Right.
So fear, I have a definition. Fear is a misuse of your imagination. So what happens is, most of the things we're scared of hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Our imagination gets away from us.
Right.
And we get fearful about stuff that's way down there.
Or may never happen.
Right? So safety, that's one. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is power.
Okay.
Every community has to have power. Now, power doesn't mean I'm having power over somebody. It means this. It's the ability that I can achieve and be successful at something. Every community has to have a feeling of achievement.
Gotcha.
What have we done?
Right.
What have we produced? And if I don't have that, violence.
And I just had a brother. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just had a brother, and it's a meme that's been going around. One of these short clips. It's that what's his name? Charleston White.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he said, and I hate to say young black people eating it up. What have black people done noteworthy in the past 40, 50 years? Name me one thing. And people are like jumping on that bandwagon as if we don't have college graduates, businesses
we
built.
have so many things going on.
But it's just so easy to create that we've done
when
nothing.
I create it, it coincides with violence.
Right.
Because anybody who doesn't believe they have power is hopeless. So it doesn't matter what I do.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
So is that why you would say in urban communities, especially in gated communities, homes, and they don't feel like they have any power?
So power is I have control over my environment. What I can do. Do I have those? Let me get the next one. The next one is belonging.
Okay.
What do I belong to in my community?
Right.
Because if I don't belong to something positive, I belong to something inappropriate.
Wow. Wow.
Right?
Right.
So we see that families are being decimated.
Right.
Right? So that doesn't mean people are not going to engage and get them a family. They're just not going to be an appropriate family.
Right. Right.
Right. And so if I don't belong.
Right.
But fourthly, I have to have what we call freedom or choice.
Okay.
If communities don't have choices in the community, you're going to have conflict and violence.
Okay.
When you walk into a neighborhood, come on, action, and I can't find a grocery store that I could buy what I want to buy.
Right.
You're going to have a problem. Anytime in history, people didn't have choice, the next thing that happened was revolutions.
That's right.
I agree.
That's right.
Okay.
Right?
That's right.
So and then finally, fun. Now, I am going to go with your cotton candy.
Right.
You have to have fun. You have to have a way that I can enjoy myself. Because if I can't enjoy myself where I am, I'm going to enjoy myself, but it's going to be inappropriate.
Well, I'm going to make an enjoyment out of something, like you said, that's destructive. And
so let me give you cotton candy. So cotton candy, I was at the circus. We was at the little phony circus when they was doing it on the east side of Youngstown. They put up the tent. They were bringing this big cotton candy around. And my kids, you understand. My kids, my sons, my little guys. No, Dad, I want cotton candy. I'm like, yo, this cotton candy is $8 a bag.
Right, right.
Hey, Dad, we want the cotton candy. All right, man. My wife.
Oh man, they beat you down.
She looked at me like, look, you ain't gonna get no cotton candy. Cotton candy has two ingredients. This is what you got to understand. It is the sugar.
Yeah.
The next ingredient to cotton candy is air.
Right.
I looked over. My boys had the cotton candy in their hand like this.
Crushing it.
Their little hands.
Right.
The whole bag of
it.
cotton candy was in their hands like this. And I said, that's my $8. This is why. Because cotton candy looks good until you touch it.
Wow.
Because it's just sugar and air.
Right.
And so we can't so I don't mind having fun. That's why with the Respect League, I know y'all talked to my man Shimmy.
Yeah.
That's why you can't ball until you get these lessons.
Right.
Because
it's got to be more than air.
It has to be more than air.
Right.
Because you got to live when you leave here.
Yes.
And you got to make choices. So safety, power, belonging, freedom, fun are the things that change. And when these things are all in the community, when it's healthy, when they're in your church, school teachers, when they're in your classrooms, you're going to have less conflict.
Wow. I mean, I appreciate how you are. Look at Mike on the giving notes.
Good work. It's working it over there.
I love it.
but again, you speak to things that take time and intention.
Absolutely.
That may not always be sexy nor easy, and doesn't always get the clicks the attention.
No.
And again, I'm speaking from a position of if I went out right now and did the block party, which again, nothing wrong with having the block party, nothing wrong with having the events. I think it's the mindset behind what you think is going to result out of it. Yeah. That's my thing. And I've run into pastors. Never forget when we were really flowing at Agape with the outreach. And a fellow pastor, an older pastor with a small congregation, you know, he kind of was like, man, well, I did the hot dogs. Nobody came to church the next day. So basically forget them, you know, kind of a thing. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, you do understand it's not all hot dogs, though, right?
Right.
You do get that we have created an atmosphere of love and building connection, and we want to know you beyond this event.
Absolutely.
We want to know you if you don't come to our church, if you never make it in on a Sunday. I still want to know your name, where you live. How can I connect you with needs? I might not be able to meet it. We only had a modest congregation ourselves. We didn't really have a lot of resources, but maybe I know somebody with a used fridge that can help out with your blown out fridge, and I'm just the connector. I know a guy with a truck that can bring the fridge to you.
Right.
That kind of thing.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And it was like we're not always into the long-term engagement. And there's another thing that I want to say from the leadership perspective, from the church's perspective, and those of us who are either called or claim to be leaders.
Yes.
And that is the power of sincere presence and consistent presence.
That's right.
Among the people.
Yes.
And sort of using our position to elevate the presence of the people, even among people like us. So we often get called to speak for folk that we don't live like or sometimes even live among.
Right.
Because we're kind of stable and okay.
Absolutely.
Me and my family are not right in the middle of the worst parts of the city. But if something happens in the worst part of the city, somebody's going to call me
Absolutely.
to ask how they doing over there. I'm like, I don't know. I ain't trying to get shot either. Like, I don't know what they're doing over there. I'm at home on my side of town. But I feel like we're asked to be these spokespeople, and it really does happen to the black community a lot. And sometimes we let people make us their spokespersons from the inside and the outside. Yeah. And it creates, because then that power dynamic is off, because we're speaking for people who can speak for themselves if you'd only let them.
Well, they have to have the opportunity.
And they're frustrated.
Where do they get voice?
And they'll start hating you because the camera's in your face talking about their problem that is really not even your problem.
No.
Right.
And we have to back up intentionally sometimes. There have been times I've said that, you know what? I've made enough statements this year. Ain't enough I could say about what's going on in the violence. You know, I mean, there's nothing else I could say. I would wear out my public welcome with the people that I love. I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah.
You know.
And I would also suggest, especially for those of you who may be watching, you know, when guys like Guy or, you know, Pastor Todd has done a lot of the basketball leagues.
Yes.
And he's always asked, brothers, pastors, come out.
Absolutely.
If your presence is there, just your presence makes because we can play basketball. All brothers gonna show up to play basketball.
Absolutely.
Kids gonna show up to play basketball, but 5 minutes later they're gonna be fighting. They're gonna be cussing.
You were there at the playground when we opened the playground at Highland Terrace.
Yep.
The very next day, it was a shooting.
It's on and popping.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So I mean, we need brothers, we need pastors, and your name don't gotta be on the front line. If you're really there for ministry is more than just preaching, teaching, buildings, bodies, and budgets. It's coming out and actually showing support for the community, showing support for these young men who you really, because truth be told, one of these young men might be in your area.
Oh, they probably are. Their grandmas go to your church.
Yep.
Their grandmas go to your church. Yep. You know, their mamas are calling you for help for, electric, gas, whatever. And a lot of times, I'll say it on two levels. It could be one of two things. Either they know you and you never took the time to get to know them because you're just a public figure. They know who you are, but you never. Or they really don't know you at all because they're not plugged into traditional media.
No.
And, social media obviously keeps us separated. So I can be the biggest thing amongst church folk and nobody to the people around the way.
Yes.
And that's why I say presence matters. And it doesn't even have to be some organized festival, fair.
No.
Tent revivals are wonderful. And the funny thing is, we had your boy on once before, and he was even talking about when you say, what can we do more in the community? I think it was Alexander.
Big Al.
Yeah, Big Al. And he was like, man, y'all need to bring the tents back out. Mm-hmm. And so it was people that would not normally engage it, but they still miss it too. Mm-hmm. They were like,
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really hated y'all. Like, get back out here and have your services. You know what I mean? Like, we still gonna be who we are. People gonna do what they do. But it created a balance and a presence that when you pull out, because you feel like it doesn't have an effect, you forget that it actually is touching people.
So change has to have consistency with it.
Yes.
If you can't change anything unless the research says I got to do something 21 days at least for it to be comfortable to me. Right. So I'll give you this one. We're praying churches. I'm talking to churches. We're praying for the wrong stuff.
Okay.
So Matthew, this is what happened. The harvest is truly great, but the laborers are few.
Right.
So we need to pray to the Lord of the harvest. To send laborers. I go to churches and I hear, God, send them in.
Send in the lost.
Send in the lost. Where I have never seen a piece of corn get up and walk into a barn.
Right.
Never.
It doesn't want to be. Right.
So our prayer should be for people to, the harvest is plenty of, our promise, the laborers are not in the garden.
That's right.
Genesis 2:5 said that all the herbs and the plants were in the field, but God didn't cause anything to grow because he had not let it rain yet, and it wasn't any man to till the ground. That's what he said. And so in order for anything to grow in your personal life, spiritual life, church life, you got to work the ground. Because unless you work the ground and then God rains his blessing on it, there's no growth.
That's right.
Right. And so what we do is the garden is there. We ain't working it.
Right.
So it's weeds because we not working it.
Right.
And so any area that God puts you in, you got to work.
That's it.
Right.
And then he's giving you all the tools. Everything is in the ground ready.
That you need.
All he's waiting for is a man to till it.
Right.
So pastors, like you said, if you are out in neighborhoods and places and knocking on doors, then people are coming. Do you know, I get the amazing opportunity to talk to so many people and they're hurting so badly.
Right.
And man, when I go talk to people, they say, man, I'm so glad you came and spoke with me.
Wow.
Right. I'm so glad you thought about me. And so connecting, making those connections, making sure we have what we need is critical.
Now, we had a great question. Sister McFadden asked, we often talk to the people who are affected by what's going on in the community. You all at home might not be able to see the highlighted comment, but we can read all of it. How do you communicate with those who are causing the disruption and the killing in the community and in the city?
These are the things people don't see. As I said, there's things that people believe stops violence. So probably every few months, I have what we call our call-ins.
I'm familiar.
So what a call-in is, and we've had quite a few, and those involved will know. And I know a few people on there know. So we call in the young men because that's what it's mostly. Young men who have been perpetrators of violence, or victims.
Right.
And what we do is we bring them in together, all in one place, and we literally have this conversation. But the conversation is with everyone, from the mayor to the police chief to the prosecutors. But I just don't bring in the heavies. Then I bring in my folks who want to help you with housing, employment, mental health, health insurance, help with your child support. And what we do is say, you got two paths here.
Right.
If you continue on the way you're doing, you're going to have to see these folks.
Right.
But we don't want you to. So come over here to the community who wants to give you the things that you need, and we want to be a blessing. And so we do that every couple of months. I've had hundreds and hundreds of guys go through, and over 80% of the guys that come through don't recidivate. And so that's how we disrupt. So we literally, we know, because we know who it is.
Right.
Because the number of guys causing the most violence is a number. Yeah, it's not the largest number.
And it's often consistent reciprocal activities, one faction against another, or chain reaction situations, which we just recently saw.
One murder happens, the next 5 are retaliation. Right. And so the critical element is that to mediate as it's happening. So every homicide or shooting that happens, normally if you ask, I am sitting in someone's house. And because we have to make those connections with people, because it's not the person who's the victim at that time. It's his cousins, it's his brothers,
right?
It's his sisters,
yes,
who are looking for revenge at that point,
right?
And so we have to deal with those things. Yeah.
As a representative of Action, I had the privilege of, and I still do. I come down with you guys
yes.
and Reverend Simon, and we walk the streets.
Yes.
And what I like about that particular program is the police chief is there generally, some of the other police officers, and they go to every side. The only places they walk is where there's problems. What a couple years ago here in Warren, we had a rash of shootings. So we came and we met. The pastors came together and they said, "Well, let's do a meeting at City Hall." And I raised my. Ain't nobody getting shot down at City Hall.
Nobody's getting shot at
why are we going to
Nobody's getting shot on Courthouse Square.
Ain't nobody getting shot on Courthouse Square. Why are we going there?
Right.
And so I think that is another thing. We have to go to the places where the hurting is.
You have to be in the community. When we do that, it's such a blessing because people are on the porch,
yes,
and we get to just. You got to go to where people are. I don't know if you know, I got the Hope Conference. I see Elder Carter on. That's my girl,
yes,
man.
Yes.
We just had 1,000 folks down at the Cavelli Center. Pastor Todd, appreciate you at the Hope Conference. It was beautiful. But what I know is that's not everybody. And so we're going to do mobile Hope Conferences. We're going into the cities, into the different areas in the city, and we're going to take these same resources and set up in the middle of the neighborhood.
And there's a thing that often gets thrown around when we do have that rash of violence. And it's, where are the pastors? Where are the leaders? Yeah. And it's usually always after a spate of whatever. Yeah. And so one part of that, and I've been one of those people, and again, that's why I promote the power of presence. And Jeff and I have talked about people who have that only invisible influence, which I get that that's some people's approach. But again, it robs the community of the comfort of knowing and seeing who their leaders are and all of that in a more public space. But as Pastor Guy just said, and we do have a version, we've in Warren that has been done before. Now they have what they call violence interrupters, and we do call-ins and those things. 9 times out of 10, that face you see, either victim or perpetrator on the news or in the paper or floating around Facebook, has probably been approached in a part of one of those efforts, formally or informally.
Yes.
Formally or informally, they've been a part of those efforts. They've been talked to. The idea that ain't nobody talking to these young men.
Right.
No, we're not going live talking to it. Hey, y'all, I'm here with the next shooter, the next potential shooter. Hey, y'all, we try. And some of us might do that whole, I'm out here with a couple fellas, we chopping. And I guess that's okay. And everybody's not always ashamed. That's fine. But there's a whole lot of offline conversations.
Absolutely.
If I'm just going on my daily walk around second and I run into somebody, they'll just start confessing and I don't even, yo, man, that dude you heard about, that was my cousin.
I would suggest strongly against going live.
Oh, right. Right. I'm in the trap.
Young brothers and sisters, these are people's real lives.
Right.
And we're playing with them.
Right.
Because if we use them as a platform for our
agendas and
promotions and agendas, we're going to get somebody killed.
Yes.
Right.
Because if not ourselves.
Right.
And so many things I do, I get to be on television a lot, but the serious things we do, you will never see.
Right.
Because these are real families and real people dealing with this hurt and pain, right? So we have a whole programs where we just go out to victims and make sure that they have counseling and that they're connected to the Attorney General. We're about to start work in the hospital in the emergency room.
Right.
So we're going to go in at the point of the shooting so we can resource somebody.
Right.
So these are things that has to happen. The relationship is the key to all this, and I can't help somebody unless I know them.
Do you do anything with domestic violence?
Yeah, so we have, have teams of people that work. So I work with agencies because I can't do it by myself. Let me say service, man. We're a few man army, but I have so many agencies and people that work with folks. I know who to connect them with when they do have domestic violence issues. And believe me, it's a lot, just not domestic, but sexual and all of those things that go along with violence. We have those things, and people suffer in silence because, again, of fear. And so, you know, just knowing that we're there, we get so many calls about people's kids and parents and relatives and people getting out of jail. So the work is just continuous.
I'm going to let you go because we're going to get ready and close. But I want to ask one quick question before we go, and then you can close us out. I've noticed, specifically over the last maybe 10 years or so, murders, especially females, have gone up.
Yes.
They have become real, almost belligerent, as gangster as men have. What have you seen in that area, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, so women, and I tell them all the time, they have the power.
Okay.
When we look at causation,
I was going to ask, that was a part of what I was going to ask.
Pastor Todd, when we look at causation,
that part of the female element and what we look at as a male problem.
So many times, there is a young lady who is right in the middle of this process, right? And so that's why, I don't know, I see Tanya, my girl Tanya's on here. That's why we started the Women of Worth program.
Okay.
Because when I was looking at this issue, I found that if we don't resource these women, unfortunately, who is raising all these boys,
correct,
then we're going to be spinning our wheels.
But they're also, and that's what I want to talk a little bit about, and you're going right into it, the cultural narrative that we create from the inside, that a lot of young sisters are perpetuating the image of the man they want that fits the bill of the criminals we see, because I don't want, 1 minute is where's all the working men, but that's after you have been running the streets with the guy who gets the money quick and buy you a scat pack and all that kind of stuff. And they're behind some of that pressure to meet an image, that they want to see you live. I don't want no punk. I don't want no this. Sometimes it is, you can call it what you want. It's religiously incorrect. Sometimes they're the reason these guys have beef with each other.
Oh, absolutely.
A whole lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're obviously the dynamics of relationships are ridiculous at this point. So everybody's with everybody. Everybody's laid claim to each other. And all it takes is some rough words, or I'm going to call somebody on you. I'm going to get my family, my friends, my people on you. So that element, but also narrative, that shape of narrative of what our community is and what it needs to be, and how we almost reject as a people. And I preached on this the other week in my church, stability and just basic norms and values that we all claim we want to get back to. If we find the right superstar that looks like a nice couple, that's great. But in your own neighborhood, you don't respect it. You know what I mean? You want the Will and Jada situation, or you want the Denzel and his wife, that kind of thing. But just the normal going to work, buying a house, keeping a car, going on it, like, that's not sexy. That's not. So they're pushing a narrative that almost pushes young men and young ladies to extremes, to live this extreme on the edge life, where you're either totally collapsing or totally on top of the world in Miami somewhere in a rented Lamborghini. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do we deal with that cultural narrative?
Y'all trying to.
We brought you here.
So listen. All right. So give me.
We on our way out, y'all.
Mike, give me like 3 minutes.
You got it.
I got you. So the first thing is, people want normal things. I need to make this clear. When women are going after guys that have these things, or guys are trying to get these things, we got to fix they just want the things that they see people have. They want houses and cars and clothes, and they want to be comfortable.
Right.
It's the reality. It's so it's not way far out. The problem is we live in this distorted world. So let me give you what I got. So God has a order that he really wanted us to live by. So I'm gonna give it to you real quick. Let me give it to you, and I'm done.
You got it.
Whenever I want to see what God wanted for our lives, I go to Genesis.
Right.
Before the fall. Right. And so God grabbed Adam out of the dirt. right? Mm-hmm. And then he breathed into him life. And then he walked with them daily. Now, I will say this. We aren't religiously incorrect, but it's cool. He grabbed them out of the dirt. I don't know what color dirt is.
It was black.
Okay. I'm just
it was black dirt.
Anyway, but listen.
Definitely.
So he grabbed them out. He breathed into them, and then he walked. So the first thing God wants out of a person's life is relationship. That's the first thing. Number one. In fact, in 3:5, he went looking for Adam, and he said, Adam, where are you, dude?
Right.
God knew where he was. He's
Reciprocal.
omnipresent.
Right.
He was asking Adam the question for himself.
That's right.
Where are you with me, Adam?
Right.
So Adam could think about it. Number two, he went and said, Adam, I need you to eat. You can eat of every tree in the garden except this one in the middle. So the second thing was he educated Adam.
Okay.
Right? This tree in the middle you can't eat. The enemy still has the same trick. He makes us think that being with God, there's all these things we can do. And then God tells us not to do these little things, and he blows it out of proportion.
Right.
So he wears people off. He wears people out because you focus on this one thing you can't do, and you think I can't live for God. Educate. The third thing he did, he said, name all the animals.
Right.
He said, name all, and whatever you call them, that's what it's going to be.
That's right.
So he gave him a job.
Right.
Gave him a career. He was an entrepreneur. In fact, he was an entrepreneur with animals because he named them all.
Wow.
And then the Bible says whatever he called them, that's what they were. We still have that power. What we call things are what they are to us. This is problematic in our community.
Right.
What do we call our children? What do we call our women?
Bad kids.
What do we call our community?
Right.
Whatever we call it, that's what it is to us. The fourth thing he did is said, all right, it's not good for men to be alone. So he said, he put him to sleep. Adam woke up. Man, you blown my blown flesh of my fuss. She was fine, just like my fine wife.
Foxy Brown. Listen,
just
right
like
there.
my
Come on,
fine
come on,
wife
come on,
for 23 years.
Meet me.
She just, whoa, I can't wait to get home right now.
Yes, sir.
So
Shut it down.
She did that, and yes, we're going to shut it down. The last thing he said is be fruitful and multiply. That is God's divine order. Young people, listen to me. If you're listening, a relationship with God, be educated. Go get your money up, get a career, entrepreneurship, then get into a relationship.
Correct.
And then be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
If you take God's order, because then after that, he said, he made Adam and Eve, and he said, then he blessed them.
Right.
So the blessings on the earth flow through family. And that's why the enemy was so dogmatic about breaking them up.
Destroying family.
If our families get right sized in our community, our problems decrease
Substantially.
Immediately. And so our order is what's causing the chaos.
Right.
Because we're out of order.
Out of order. It's disorder.
It's
disorder.
We're disorder, just
Right.
like if we have dis-ease.
Right.
Right. And so getting back in order is first getting back to God.
That's it.
Wow.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that to that place. And that's been a focus. We've actually seen some movement in that area in our church, focusing back on families.
Yes, sir.
Young families,
Yes,
people
sir.
that aspire to family, even if they're not there.
That's right.
But communicating to them is something I learned, and we saw some fruit out of in the last year and a half or so, is that this is supposed to play a key part in helping you to have a family. And since this is not this being the fellowship of believers,
That's it.
being in this environment, in traditional black culture, of course, having church as a part, like we've gone through that entirely adversarial, oppositional position to church. Everybody's phony. Everybody's a hypocrite. I don't need God,
Yes.
And so the simple answer becomes, all right, so where we at with that?
That's it.
How's that working out for you? And what I'm saying is all the fault lines still exist. All of the troubles and tensions still exist, but it has not done us any better abandoning what we know is right by trying to pursue really not any viable alternative either. I've literally said to people like, you know what, if you left the church, and I know this is religious, if you left the church and became a really good Muslim with a stable family, I'd at least respect your Muslim faith. But if you just out there just whatever,
Yeah, you're not.
you know, just whatever, just floating morals, values everywhere.
No.
Like, I can't respect that because you haven't even found anything to replace. And I could tell you as the preacher, you ain't gonna find nothing to replace what you get in God and all. And again, that's so key. And it goes back to what our community really needs, and as churches and pastors and leaders, what we should aspire to focus, or at least support those who are focusing on those things. And you broke some stuff down tonight, Pastor Guy. I mean, he's brought the word to us. I got saved again.
No, this is a good crew.
But I appreciate the work that you do. Want you to continue to be blessed.
How can people, if somebody wants to get
serve and help with serve?
Yeah, so like we got a website, hopeyoungstown.org.
Hopeyoungstown.org.
So what that's for, man, if you're in recovery or re-entry and you just need help. Listen, nobody's perfect. No church is perfect. And when I walk in, y'all messed up anyway. If
listen, because it's no longer perfect.
So we're not. God has set us up to be a resource. So this is what I believe for everybody. You already have in you what you need to meet your purpose. God put it in you. Listen to me. He put it. It's there, amazing people, but you just need sometimes your path adjusted, right?
Come on.
Can I end with one more story? Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Can Mike?
And then my third close.
You sure? This is good close. This is my third close.
You got it, bro. Go ahead, man.
This is my third close. So it's this camel, and he's like, Mom, I'm noticing some stuff about myself. I said, what, baby? I got this hump on my back and it's getting big. Okay, honey. You're a desert animal, so your hump is for fat and sustaining you in water. Okay, Mom, my eyelashes are so long. All the other animals are short. Why is my eyelashes so long? Baby, you're a desert animal. When the sandstorms kick up, it helps you filter the sand. He said, Mom, one more question. My hooves are round and flat. All the other animals got these curved hooves. What is going on? Baby, you are a desert animal. Your hooves are so you can walk and travel in the sand easily.
Wow.
He said, man, my hump is to sustain me. My eyes are for my vision and my hooves to make me move forward. She said, yeah, you're amazing. He started to look sad. She said, boy, what's wrong with you? I just told you how great you were. He says, Mama, why do we live in the zoo? Your gifts and talents only work when you're in the right position.
Wow.
You got the good stuff. You just out of position.
In the wrong place.
It's like the boy who on the street, who the best football player in the world, but not on the team.
Not on the field, not on a team.
It's not helping him.
Right.
So we as pastors and leaders and people, you just need to get in right position with God so he could use the stuff. The answer is already here. Listen, we've been looking for answers. We don't have to look. The answer is you.
Right here.
Yeah.
Where you are, if you work the garden you got, the answer is you. These families that we working with, the answer is you. They in your family.
Right.
Come on, son.
Right. The word.
Look, one more.
Bring me an offering plate.
One more. I was swimming at the Y Friday. I'm trying to get together, Jeff.
Trust me, I know.
So I'm swimming, and the lifeguard just wanted to talk to me, little young lady, and she said something to me that blew my mind. She says, you know what, Mr. Guy? I said, what, baby? She says, I've been in lifeguard training. This is what I learned. She says, most people that drown when the lifeguard is there drowns right underneath the lifeguard because the lifeguard is so busy looking out, they don't look right what's in front of them.
Wow.
So we have to make sure we're taking care of what's right in front of us.
That's it.
So they don't drown
first.
Yes,
while we dealing with everybody else.
Save the world.
That's right.
I'm done.
Right underneath. Listen. God be with you.
Until we meet.
Listen, we appreciate Pastor William Guy Burney being in the house. Give it up with them Facebook hearts and likes and hand claps and emojis and all that, man. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a long time coming. We love what you're doing in the community. We love how you present. We love the realness you bring. And you're not alone. There are so many, and wherever you're watching us from, I bet you there's somebody who's out there trying to make the difference.
They are.
You know, join, make the connection, make a donation, you know, get out there and be whatever part and play whatever part you can. And I know it'll make a difference and an impact to somebody's life. I'm a witness to it. I wanted to throw it over to Big Mike. Listen, at least 6 to 8 sermons. That was a week of revival. We were in convocation.
We're just talking, man. We're just talking.
Holy convocation with Bishop William Burney Jr. Give it to you, Big Mike. What's popping?
Oh, man, thanks so much for coming on. Very enlightening conversation. Learned a lot. And I'm glad to see that there are people and groups out there doing things, because most of the time they don't get all the press. They don't get all the notoriety. And, you know, sometimes we think nobody cares and nobody's doing anything. Sure. So it's good to see that there are people out there trying to help and actually helping. So again, man, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Pleasure.
What are your @s so people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can get me at Facebook. It's just William Burney. Serve Youngstown.org. HopeYoungstown.org, any of those places. I think I don't mess with Instagram or whatever, but it's at Guy Burney, so they can hit me. All right,
my man. Appreciate you, man.
Follow my man, and while you're at it, make sure you follow Religiously Incorrect on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts or audio podcasts, always go up shortly after the day of our broadcast.
It'll be available on Tuesday.
And we will see
a bunch of people out there about to use your sermons next week.
Including these preachers.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Family Matters series coming up, Doc. It's coming up. Family Matters.
The Lord told me to tell y'all.
That's right.
Hey, man, y'all have a great night. Have a great week. Wherever you do, be great at it. And until next time, we'll see you at the next Sunday night. So, wait, you know what? Show that picture of a guy walking in the church real quick. Walking in the church. That's a guy walking in the church. Yeah. That's a guy. For those of you that have never seen Guy in church.
Here we go.
This is him. Oh, we won't play. We'll show him walking out of church.
We'll show him walking out.
No, it's at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's that guy walking out of church.
That's after his fourth close.
Peace. I gotta get home.
All right, see y'all.